Hi permaculture gardeners. Today we're going to learn how to create probably the simplest, easiest mushroom kit, homemade mushroom kit that you can possibly make. There's no pasteurization, there's no fussing around, and this thing will produce oyster mushrooms for you, this kit that we are going to learn how to build today, in under a month. So in under a month you'll be able to grow your own mushrooms from scratch. So it's pretty cool. What we're going to need for this project, you're going to need at least one toilet paper roll, but if you're doing this in bulk, it's preferable to do this with more than that. You're going to need a mushroom bag. Now you could use a regular old bag, it's not the end of the world. Even a regular old plastic bag would work fine. You want it to look a little bit like this, where it's taller than it is wide, because you're going to be putting the toilet paper roll in the bottom of this bag after you inoculate it with mushroom spawn. But if you do have a mushroom bag, it's a little bit better because it has this thing on it called a filter patch, which is a very fine filter that allows air in but doesn't allow mushroom spawn or other external spores to get in and contaminate the mushrooms that you're growing. So it's a great way for the mushrooms to get oxygen but to not get contaminated by other fungi. Okay, so the other thing you're going to need is mushroom spawn. You can order it in the resources section of this project. I'll include links to a few vendors of this mushroom spawn, but what you're looking for in the case of a toilet paper kit is you would prefer the grain spawn because it's just easier to work with in this context. What we're going to be doing is pouring the spawn into the center of this hole in the toilet paper and letting it take over the toilet paper. In about 2 or 3 weeks, it'll have completely converted the toilet paper into mushroom, into mycelium. The other thing you're going to need is something to boil water in. Here I have an Instapot, but it could just as well be something that you boil water on your stove. You just need a container that's deep enough that when you take your toilet paper roll and dip it in, you want to completely submerge your toilet paper in that water so that it's completely saturated with the water. So here I have an Instapot, it works really well. You want to boil that water. So the first step that you're going to do is you're going to get your bag ready, because you want to transfer it straight from your bag, straight from your water bath into your bag. So I really recommend having tongs. You might even want to wear gloves so that you don't accidentally burn yourself. So you take your toilet paper roll, you dunk it in the water completely, and then you let it drain a little bit. Now don't be too concerned like, oh, it's falling apart, it's too wet, it's slumping. The only reason, if you can drain it as much as possible, that's great, but you want to get it in the bag before it completely deteriorates. So you saw how quick that dunk was that I did. That's all you need really to get that entire toilet paper roll totally soaked. So that's probably good enough. We're going to put it straight into our bag. Now we take our spawn and we just kind of loosely break it up. So this is grain spawn. And you don't have to be too accurate with this. I'll try to put this over here so the camera can see it. But what you're doing is you want to pour as much as you can of that spawn right into the center of that. Oops. So I was a little bit off aim there. You can just kind of shake it a little bit to get it in there. So I used a bit more than you actually need to inoculate it. It's probably about twice as much as you actually need. I'll just hold this up so you can see how it's filled that centerpiece there. And if you don't want to pour it directly from a large bag, you can use a small container to pour it as well. So at this point, you're pretty much done. What you want to do is seal this with something. It could either be tape. I have here a little elastic band that I'm just going to put over. Just so that no air gets in. That's just my Instapot. There we go. Here we go. So at this point you want to put this in a dark area for about 2 weeks. And this is oyster mushroom spawn that you want to use. It will completely take over this toilet paper roll, and you'll start to see pinning, what they call pinning. So pinning is you'll start to see little protrusions on the mycelium. The whole thing will turn white, and then on the actual toilet paper roll, it won't be a toilet paper roll anymore, it'll be mycelium of the oyster mushroom. And you'll see these little small beginnings of mushrooms. They start out very tiny, but they'll very rapidly grow into a large oyster mushroom. So at that point, you want to take it out of this dark area and you want to expose that mushroom kit. You want to remove the elastic band, and you want to open that up to get as much oxygen as possible. You want to put it in not direct sunlight, but you could put it in on a deck somewhere that's north facing. You can even leave it in your kitchen. Like the light that we're getting right now is perfectly fine for it, but you would leave the bag open, and then daily after that you just want to mist the kit for probably twice daily, once in the morning and once at night. And you'll see those little pins will start to form mushrooms. They'll start to get really big in under a week. And then as soon as the way that the mushroom body forms, it'll start getting bigger, and will start off being kind of curved, but as the gills expand and start to flatten out, that's the time when you want to harvest it, and you would just cut it off with scissors. If you let it rest, the kit rest for maybe a week, after that it'll start to produce another what's called a flush of mushrooms. And from a single kit, from a single toilet paper roll, you can get up to almost half a pound of oyster mushrooms. So it's a pretty neat and economical way to see how these oyster mushrooms work. If this works out well and you really enjoy this way of this project, then I highly recommend moving on to the next level, which is creating using these bags but filling them with pasteurized straw. And in the next project we'll talk about how to create that. It's larger and it'll produce more mushrooms for you. So I hope you enjoy this. Check out the resource section of this project that will include a full set of instructions and links to places where you can obtain the mushroom bags and the mushroom spawn. Happy growing, permaculture gardeners.